The Hard Count is presented by BetMGM. As y'all know by now, we've teamed up with BetMGM this college football season. We'll be using their lines to make all our picks, and we'll have special offers for all of you each week. Now, when you join BetMGM, you get access to a variety of parlay selection features like same-game parlays, live betting options, and more. If you haven't signed up yet for BetMGM, use bonus code HARDCOUNT, and you'll get up to $1,500 first bet offer on your first wager with BetMGM. Here's how that works. 1, download the BetMGM app and sign up using bonus code HARDCOUNT. 2, deposit at least $10 and place your first wager on any game. Step 3, you'll receive up to $1,500 in bonus bets if your bet loses. Just make sure you use bonus code HARDCOUNT when you sign up. Let's make this college football season 1 for the books. Let's make it legendary. Let's get to the show. Here we go now. Welcome into the Hard Count. It is Thursday, January 8th, 2026. Last one on the face of the planet. Hey, don't look now. We got college football playoff games happening. One tonight, one tomorrow. As always, this show presented by BetMGM. And if you want to get a little more juice on your payout here for whatever side you're on, whether it be Miami, Ole Miss, whether it be Oregon, Indiana, whatever you like here, BetMGM got you covered. A little college football boost token. So if you're feeling like you like Miami minus 3.5, go ahead and use that boost token. Get yourself a nicer payout. Whatever side you're on, though, make sure you get that rolling to take care of yourself. We're taking care of all of us here on this show. We got madness across the college football landscape, man. Absolutely unprecedented madness. We got Damon Williams saying he wants to hit the transfer portal. Washington saying, not so fast, my friend. We got a document here that ties you to us. You ain't going anywhere. So the plot is very thick there. We'll unpack that one. We got final predictions at the end of the show with myself and Caden Smith. Ty Simpson declared for the NFL draft. I'm not so sure that script is all the way finished. Maybe it's just a me thing. If I'm on the island out there, so be it. But we'll give you our thoughts there as well. We'll take an honest look at Florida. We'll talk about Miami and what's at stake if they find themselves in the national championship game. A lot going on. But let's start with what I led the show with in terms of that going down our topic list here. Damon Williams announced his intentions to enter the transfer portal. Quarterback at Washington, if he does find himself in the transfer portal, will be highly sought after. Schools to watch, according to sources telling On 3 that LSU could be a player in the game here. Miami, also a school to watch here. But this is not your cut and dry, hey, I'm hitting the portal, release the graphic, couple of nice different notes on there, thanking everyone and saying I got to go do me and go somewhere else. There is a lot of different layers to the situation, okay? So to recap it, for those of y'all that are dropping in on this thing, no problem. Let's break it down. Damon Williams signs a deal within the last week to come back to Washington in 2026. And this wasn't just any old deal. This was like right around $4 million worth of a deal to keep him at Washington next season to be your starting quarterback. Okay, then he releases this, statement, and the news breaks that he intends to enter the transfer portal with a do not contact tag. For those of y'all that speak portal, that just means, hey, don't call me, I'll call you. I kind of have an idea as to where I want to go, which just screams from the mountaintops, but he's been tampered with. Modern college football, not surprising, is what it is. But then Washington claps back here and says, hey, no. Damon, remember that deal we signed? We intend on enforcing that deal. That contract that you signed for us where you wrote your name down at the end of that document, that means something to us. We don't have any intentions of putting your name in the transfer portal for you, buddy. Like, that's how the contract reads, is the school does not have any obligation to enter Damon Williams' name into the transfer portal. So do they end up doing that remains to be seen. On top of all of this now, head coach at Washington, Jedd Fisch, shares an agent with Damon Williams. So talk about being caught in the middle of something, man. That agent, I would not want to be him right now. It's a tricky spot to be in. Pete Nakos goes on the Rivals YouTube channel with Josh Newberg and is talking this thing through, and a possible, I don't know if solution is the right word. I don't know if there's a solution just in this situation, period. But one avenue that Damon Williams could pursue here is to just say, essentially, hey, portal, no portal. I'm just going to unenroll from school here, re-enroll somewhere else. But the legal obligations of this whole thing is absolutely jarring. So I gave my take on this when the news broke, and got some mixed feedback from the folks out there on the socials, which I'm here for. I'm all for having some discussion. But my take was, hey, listen, if you want to bring him back, Washington, good for you. You want to enforce the contract and make him stay on your roster, more power to you. Because that was what Pete Nakos also reported. Hey, Washington, they expect him to be their quarterback in 2026 because of what this contract says. And while I'm all for us enforcing contracts, I'll take that back. Contracts need to be enforced. That's how we fix college football. College football has a lot of warts, a lot of issues. If you want to fix college football, it starts with enforcing contracts. Now, with that being said, I don't think all situations are created equal. And while Washington should enforce this contract as much as they can and get all the money they can back from Damon Williams, get damages, like anything you can squeeze out of this deal if you're Washington, I think you are more than in bounds to do that in this situation. Damon Williams signed a deal, is going back on that deal. There should and will be repercussions. I fully believe that. Now, are there going to be repercussions to the point where you keep Damon Williams as your starting quarterback for the 2026 season? That's where this gets a little bit tricky to me. If Damon Williams was Washington's edge rusher or starting corner or go-to wide receiver, that'd be one thing. He's your freaking quarterback. He's the guy giving the play call in the huddle. He's the guy you're looking to on 4th and 1 to go make it happen for you. He is the leader of your football team. Whether you like it or not, he's your starting quarterback. He is the most visible position of leadership that's not your head coach. How's that going to be when he walks back in that locker room after you enforce the contract where he states for the entire world to see, hey, I want to go somewhere else? You bring him back. How much of a withdrawal did he make from the trust bank account across that locker room? How many guys are going to follow him into a dark alley and follow him in the fourth quarter and go give that extra little shove on 4th and 1 to get that first down for him when he's carrying the football? That, to me, feels like a very broken situation. So if it wasn't hey, we expect to bring him back to be our starting quarterback next year, if that wasn't tied to it, maybe I'd feel differently. I think it's overall a net negative if you bring that guy back to be your starting quarterback. Talented player, will be great wherever he ends up at. I fully believe that. His skill set, it being sought after by, according to sources here, LSU and Miami, is not a coincidence. But I don't think that's a net positive if you bring that dude back to be the leader of your football team when he's already expressed, I don't want to be a part of your football team. I don't know how that works here in the long term. I'm not here for it. Now, it's interesting. There's a lot of strong opinions from a lot of people on the outside. That's always how it is. It's not unique to the situation. But you hear a lot of people with zero consequences and zero stake in the game saying, bring him back and sit him. He needs to learn a lesson, make an example out of him, make a precedent, bring him back and sit him. And I'm like, okay, that's all well and good. Do you feel that way if you're 7-6? You like that if you're fighting to make a bowl game? Are you still saying, yeah, sit the best quarterback on our football team? I don't think so. Also, you have a lot of people talking about like setting the precedent for Washington. Hey, make sure you make an example. Make sure you kind of put a different vision for all of us in the world of college football as to what's possible with enforcing these contracts. And that'd be cool. I'd be here for that as well. But again, if you're Jed Fish and you're the coaching staff at Washington, this is how you put food on the table. I don't think you bring back Damon Williams and force him to sit. And again, I think if you bring him back in general, it's a tricky dynamic with your locker room and your leadership in general. Now, here's my thing. I would be shocked if Damon Williams made this announcement that he intends to enter the transfer portal without talking to anybody with any input or any advice as to how enforceable the contract that he signed for Washington truly is. Now, again, I hope and pray we reach a point in the world where college football contracts are enforceable, and they do mean something, and guys can't hit the portal like Damon Williams is trying to hit the transfer portal. But do we really think that Damon Williams made this decision a little bit willy-nilly because he got a phone call from a coach that offered him a bigger bag than $4 million? Are we sure that's really how this whole thing went? That doesn't smell right to me. I think that Damon Williams wouldn't have announced his intentions to enter the transfer portal if he didn't feel like he had a pretty good shot of getting out of the contract that he signed. So here's the deal. Everyone's wrong here. Everyone's wrong here. The system's wrong. Damon Williams is wrong for wanting to leave. The schools, if they tampered with him, I'm going to go ahead and assume they are. I'll just say this. They probably, more than likely, did tamper with Damon Williams, all right? They're wrong as well. Washington is the only party here that's not wrong. But the system is so flawed and so screwed up to where if you're Washington, I don't know what your actual likelihood is of being able to get Damon Williams back on your roster or even get back what you're owed from a financial perspective here, whatever that looks like in this discussion. So I hate this, and I think most college football fans hate this. Like, this sucks that players can sign contracts, give their word to a place, and dip out. Make that very, very clear. I hate this. This sucks. This is weird. This is not how any of this should be. With that being said, while we all hate this, this may be exactly what we needed to create some change. Because if there's no change, understand this will keep happening. Guys will sign contracts that won't mean anything. They'll hit the portal, and it'll just be a carousel of who can give me the biggest bag, and I don't care what I signed. I'm gone if I get a better offer. That's going to happen. I do think, though, that what could happen here is, one, Washington enforces this deal. Whatever happens after that, whether it's a positive or negative for Washington, which I've already given my take on. And that just, screams, okay, contracts mean something. Okay, you were able to keep your starting quarterback after he announced his intention to enter the transfer portal. You enforced a deal. Okay, however you want to phrase it, that held. So that's a precedent. That's one. The other option here is Washington draws the short end of the stick. They can't enforce the contract. And while that would suck in the moment, and I think it sucks in general, maybe, just maybe, this kind of situation pisses enough of the right people off to where they're like, okay, we got to figure this whole thing out. Like maybe we get Saban into the ring at this point. Maybe we get Sankey and Petiti actually working together to try and create a governing body. Maybe this is the final straw for someone or some group of folks that say, okay, now we have to get a different governing body to make sure this doesn't happen here going forward. So as much as this is weird, and again, as much as we all hate this, maybe this is the right kind of crazy to promote the change that we need in the sport. Because, again, it's going to keep happening. This will not be the last time you see something like this happening. Damon Williams might just be the last one to get it done if we get a different precedent here going forward. So, craziness across college football, but Damon Williams intends to enter the transfer portal. Washington says nah, and we will keep a pulse on that very, very thick plot. Hey, before we move on here, Caden, I want to get your take on this because we got madness across the board here in college football. You and I have talked about this a lot off the air. We were texting about this last night with just the craziness of, hey, Damon Williams wants to hit the portal. Is it Miami? Is it LSU? Also, what does Washington do? Like, just your overall take on this situation. Do you think that if Damon Williams gets to hit the portal, this is the change that we need or the craziness we need to see the change that we eventually maybe truly need for the sport? Where are you at on this, brother?
Yeah, I think you said it very, very well, especially at the end of that segment. I think we have to remember Damon Williams is 19 years old. Like this, the
$4 million at 19.
Yeah, God. And the decision making of any of these college athletes can come into question, and there are people on the internet and elsewhere saying all of the right things as far as about you should uphold your end of a contract, a deal, all of the morally correct things to do in all of these situations when it comes to the portal recruitment. But the cat's already out the bag. Like there's no governing body to oversee and keep a player to uphold a deal and a school to uphold their end of the bargain. And I don't know if one party or the other screwing each other over into perpetuity will make the NCAA act differently. But I'm glad it's at least bringing more attention to the issue. I feel like getting the government involved and getting a governing body involved has been a lot harder than people might think. I feel like the Sabans of the world and other leaders in the sport and across college sports, I mean, you talk about Cody Campbell even too, being very open and vocal about this stuff. They've made efforts to do this. We just haven't gotten there yet. And I don't know what it will take to get there. But if it's people like Damon Williams doing things like this, and it takes more people doing things like this, then as long as it's pushing us in the direction to get there, I'm happy we're getting there. So I don't know if a bunch of kids ripping off schools or schools ripping off kids is enough to get the attention, but I can't say it's a step in the right direction. If it gets us there, it's a step in the right direction. I don't care what the road looks like per se as much to get to the world of college football we want to see that has made adjustments and adapted to some of the changes we need that are just way overdue when you look at what's out there. But yeah, man, it's tough to see. But again, Damon Williams is 19 years old, guys. So like the people online being extra hard on him and all that, like this is yes, he should follow the contract. Sure. We should all follow every contract that we ever sign ever. But if you're signing a contract in a broken system and you're able to get more money, I think most people, especially at the age of 19 with that same ultimatum, would do what they can. Just, hey, lawyer up. We'll figure this thing out afterwards. But for the time being, this is what I think is best for me. I can get more money here. I'll have a better opportunity here, et cetera, et cetera. So hopefully there isn't too much of this happening to where it just completely just tears the sport apart off the field. But I'm glad this is happening while football's still being played, because I feel like in the off season when stuff like this happens and it's talked about, it's put under the rug very quickly. But there's football games happening right now. College football is still at the center of attention in a lot of regards for the next couple weeks up until the national championship's over. So hopefully that helps. But at this point, who are we asking for help? We can only ask Nick Saban to be the commissioner of college football so much before someone out there with power is in a position to be a savior for college football of sorts in this regard off the field. And we'll just keep hoping and praying that they come eventually.
Supply and demand, man. That's what I mean with economics. Supply and demand, it dictates a lot of the market. But I think you hit it on the head, man. Like, we need somebody to hire Nick Saban to ultimately get this thing into motion. Like, Nick Saban's a great idea for the commissioner of college football. Josh Pate, a great idea for the commissioner of college football. We need somebody in place to go hire those people to make them the commissioner, and then maybe we reach some resolution. But it is what it is. Caden, great stuff, man.
Yeah, unless there's this is the last thing I'll say. Unless there is a situation like this that can somehow impact media revenue dollars, I just don't see any governing body being super urgent to make the changes we need to see in this sport. It's very clear that's what the priority is, and the viewership's going up, the money's going up, the revenue sharing's on the way. But until they start messing with that TV money, man, like, this is other people's money, other people's problem, and it seems like that's what all the transfer portal, NIL-related, scheduling-related, coach leaving-related problems all are rooted in the fact that at the end of the day, no matter what the chaos is off the field, when we kick off for the Fiesta Bowl, when we kick off for the Peach Bowl, we're all going to be watching. It's all going to be a great game because of the money and just the priority of the sport going up levels and levels, and that will always be the remedy to all of this. It's like, how much can you complain about this stuff happening off the field when on the field we're breaking viewership records? There's more people watching college football than the NBA, and the playoff games are sweet, and we're all watching Ole Miss in an awesome game with Georgia. Like, that's what the people who have the power are thinking. So unless their pockets get directly affected with the media stuff, man, that's when I know they'll take charge. But until then, man, these kids and these coaches and these programs can kind of do what they want when it comes to recruiting, and it's gross, but it is what it is.
Big bucks, stepping out of big trucks, man. That's what we always say on this show. I know people get tired of hearing it, but that's just the reality of where we're at. College football.
It is
what it is. Is what it is, man. It is what it freaking is. Well, Damon Williams wants to hit the transfer portal, likely wants to commit somewhere. He's kind of that SpongeBob meme right now, though, on the inside watching Patrick and Squidward hanging out. Transfer portal commitments, man. We got some action here. We got a lot going on here. Nebraska, they got themselves a quarterback here, Anthony Calandria, by way of Virginia to UNLV. Now, remember, Nebraska thought they had Kenny Minchey in-house. Didn't happen that way. Hits the old flipperoo. U-turn out to Kentucky. They say, okay, we got to go to work. Start hitting the phones. Matt Rule got himself a quarterback in the Mountain West Conference Player of the Year. Here's my thing with Nebraska. Whoever their quarterback was going to be next season had to have some wiggle to him. You watch Anthony Calandria is very much so Johnny Manziel-ish with how he plays ball. I know no one's Johnny Manziel, but just hear me clearly. He's got the good ad-lib. He's got a lot of ability to run the football himself. Nebraska, 8% sack rate last year as an offense. Is that good? No, it's not good. 114th in college football. So if nothing else, you added a playmaker who, in the same vein as Kenny Minchey, is able to create with his legs, throw the football around a little bit, played power forward before at Virginia. Excited to see what happens there, but good for Nebraska acting quickly in the wake of the Kenny Minchey saga. They got themselves a quarterback in A1, Anthony Calandria. More commitments here to follow. We'll talk about them right now. Before we do that, if you're a college football sicko, make sure you are subscribed. Listen, games are happening. Obviously, everyone else that casually watches the sport is at least keeping tabs on the playoff. We'll talk about the playoff as well. But if you're a sicko, man, like if you wake up in the middle of the night to go to the bathroom, and on your way back to the bathroom, you're checking the forums over at the Pond of Rose, the LSU site, to see what's going on. Hey, who would land via the portal? Hey, what's going on with this guy and that guy? If you're one of us, make sure you're subscribed. We appreciate you being a sicko and being a part of what we got going on here. I mentioned LSU. Got a nice little two-pack via the portal, man. Jace Brown, receiver from Kansas State, and Eugene Wilson, or Trey Wilson, however you want to refer to him, from Florida. They're both going to LSU. I watched a lot of Jace Brown at Kansas State over the course of the last couple of years, and dude's just a ball player, man, deep threat. He's always open. You watch a Kansas State game, you're like, hey, number one's open again, made a big-time catch. Why doesn't he get a larger piece of the pie when it comes to the football being divvied up across this offense? Just kind of the way that Kansas State did things. However, in Lane Kiffin's offense, Jace Brown, if you get open, you're getting the football. So I'm really excited to see what he is there with a little bit more juice behind him and a juice around him, quite frankly, at the quarterback position. In that same vein, Eugene Wilson, when he was healthy and they had a quarterback that was in rhythm, ergo you got good DJ Lagway, he was a problem, man. So it's been a matter of him having all the right factors, both his health and at the quarterback position together to see his best ball. I think LSU is going to bring that out of him. And so Lane Kiffin going to work on the portal side of things, as we knew he would. Portal King doing what Portal King does. Eugene Wilson, Jace Brown, both taking their talents to Baton Rouge and going to make that offense explosive again out there for the folks in the boot. Speaking of the SEC, though, Deshaun Bishop not hitting the portal. How about that? In a transfer portal commitment segment, we're telling you about guys that are not hitting the portal and recommitting to their school. God bless us, man. God bless America. God bless the portal. Deshaun Bishop re-signs with Tennessee. 1,000-yard back last year for the Vols. Staple in Josh Heupel's rushing attack. We keep saying this for folks that watch this show. We're kind of like that guy just shouting from the street, hoping that somebody hears what we have to say. Tennessee's offense does love to push the ball downfield. Tennessee's offense does operate at its most effectively when you got a quarterback that can sling it around the yard. It's a big part of what Josh Heupel does. With that being said, they are a run-first outfit. 55% of the time a year ago, Tennessee said, Deshaun Bishop. Tennessee said, run the football. Deshaun Bishop back is a big deal for that offense. Also, it's a big deal, too, for that locker room as you got a guy who's been around the program for a while, helps set the temperature internally, and keep a good thing going out there in Knoxville as they strive to get back to the college football playoff a year removed. Hey, Jackson Arnold, what happened to that guy? He's going to UNLV. Remember now, Jackson Arnold was the future of Oklahoma football, the next great one out there in Norman. Didn't go that way during his time there. Goes to Auburn, and we're all like, hey, okay, a lot of ability. Can maybe he and Hugh Freeze and Cam Coleman get after it and do some good things? Didn't go that way either. He's now headed to Vegas. I'll just say this. I root for the guy, man. We sat down with him at SEC Media Days as he was getting ready to take over QB1 responsibilities out there on the plains, and just a guy who got a lot of scars to it. Like, you know how hard it is to transfer away from a place because it didn't work out when you were supposed to be the next great one at Oklahoma? Like, he's supposed to be the next Baker, the next Kyler, the next Caleb, and, like, didn't go that way. And so I think the scars that he's got and now going to, let's call a spade here, a lower level of football with a QB whisperer and Dan Mullen, I hope he freaking crushes it, bro. The ability that he has is obvious. It's just a matter of it all coming together. So we root for Jackson Arnold on this show. He is, of course, filling the shoes left by one Anthony Calandria. Somewhat similar skill set with mobility and arm talent, but we are a pro Jackson Arnold show on this side of things. All right. Speaking of quarterbacks, Aiden Childs transferring from Michigan State to Northwestern. Here's where we are now in college football in 2026. You got Michigan State's quarterback from last year set to join a program with an offense led by none other than Chip Kelly. All right, this is the eyes emoji get for me of the entire portal cycle to this point. Maybe not the flashiest, maybe not the splashiest, maybe not the one that gets you the most fired up. But tell you what, I've said this for a while. I think I am higher on Aiden Childs than probably anyone else I've talked to across the college football space. I look at the skill for this guy and just the overall talent that he has. He's a great athlete, does a lot with his legs, great arm talent. I think Aiden Childs still has his best football in front of him. And maybe, just maybe, Chip Kelly, with that national title ring on his finger from calling the plays out there in Columbus a couple of years ago, maybe he's the one to bring it out of him. I don't know. But if nothing else, intriguing stuff out there in Evanston, Illinois. Now, Bama's had some bad vibes over the course of this transfer portal cycle. We talk about guys leaving Bama and how they got to get some more just USDA-approved shoreline in the trenches. Well, you got what you asked for if you're a Bama fan. Devon Tompkins transferring from USC to Alabama. Listen to these measurables. 6'5", 290. Yeah, could have used that in the Rose Bowl. It is what it is. A top 3 defensive lineman prospect in the transfer portal, according to the On3 industry rankings. 55 tackles, 4.5 sacks, and 9 tackles for a loss over his time at USC. Production, size, if nothing else, other piece in that front seven for Bama, that is the next step for them. I really feel like as long as Kalen DeBoer is there, they will be in a good spot at the quarterback position. I feel like they'll be in a good spot when it comes to skill players. It's about the big hog mollies on the offensive and defensive side. Landed one in Devin Tompkins. We'll see what happens here going forward. But if nothing else, just an encouraging sign of the times for the Crimson Tide with a transfer portal commitment on the defensive line. All right. Now, a program that is playing a game tonight here is the Miami Hurricanes. And there's a lot at stake for all these teams in the college football playoff, right? Like any one of these teams winning a national championship would be absolutely huge. There's no other way to slice it. But, man, the longer I sit with this and the longer I envision Mario Cristobal at his home stadium, in his home city, just confetti dropping on that complexion. I don't think I can overstate the impact of what's at stake here for Miami. Should they win tonight and then go play for a national championship, dare I say win a national championship, I think it'd be huge. I think it'd be absolutely huge. Here's the thing. In the world of college football, everyone is riding the wave from the year before or from previous success. You're either trying to drum up a little bit of a swell and create some excitement and create a wave to ride here going forward, or you're riding that wave like Georgia is, like Ole Miss is going to, like Miami is going to. And the reason why that tidal wave is important that you create for yourself and that Miami's riding right now, it's crucial to acquiring talent. Right? Like college football, the name of the game between the haves and the have-nots is, do you have better players than who you're playing? Like, you can talk about scheme. That's important, especially when talent's equal. But if we have better players than you, look at Texas Tech. We're probably going to beat you. Texas Tech had the best roster in the Big 12. That was why they beat everybody not named Arizona State this year. Why they beat the brakes off BYU twice. So if it's about acquiring top talent, and it's about riding the momentum of a tidal wave to get that top talent, Miami, they're set up with a blinking neon billboard sign just in front of their program saying, hey, bring them in. You want to come play for the U? You want to go be developed? You want to go play big-time football games? Bring them in. And if they win tonight, dude, you trade that sign in for a freaking rocket ship that's got a billboard attached to it of, hey, commit to the U, play for Cristobal, and go compete for national championships. Like, I don't think we all understand just how crucial this 2-game stretch could be for the rest of the college football landscape as it relates to what Miami could be here going forward. Because here's the thing. We've said it for a while. If you control the state of Florida when it comes to recruiting at the high school level, you have all that you need in the context and the confines of that state to go win national championships. That's not an overstatement. That's not hyperbolic. That is the reality. Not saying it guarantees you, but you have everything you need ingredients-wise to go win national championships. Don't believe me? Just go through all the players from the state of Florida that got away from the state of Florida that ended up being integral to national championships. I mean, Jeremiah Smith from last year, he even said to our own Ari Wasserman during media days leading into that Cotton Bowl, hey, yeah, if Miami had been in a better spot, probably would have gone there. What? Imagine Jeremiah Smith and Cam Ward last year. You don't think that would have equated to maybe a college football playoff berth and beyond? I don't know. I think that's pretty interesting to say. So if you can control the state and control the optics in the state, you're set up for success. Y'all, Miami has done that definitively now. Like, I don't think there's a discussion of where does Miami sit in the Sunshine State when it comes to, like, the hierarchy of things. They're definitely ahead of Florida State. Florida is trying to turn that thing around, but as it stands right now, the proof is in the pudding with where Miami is relative to Florida. It's not a discussion. But if you go play for a national championship, if you go just show up in that game, you win tonight, you go play for a national championship, do we understand the way that changes the shine on the Miami logo? It feels very reminiscent to me of how we talked about Texas pre-Steve Sarkisian and how we talk about them really over the course of the last couple of years with them making the semifinal game twice, with them just overall being more competitive in the context of the SEC and the Big 12. Like the Texas and Miami logos, you used to look at those brands and just recognize them and know what they are. Hey, I know the U. That's pretty cool. Yeah, Michael Irvin, Ray Lewis, Ed Reed. Some history. Same thing with Texas last couple of years. You recognize the horns and all those things and the burnt orange and all that. But now with Texas, you associate a certain brand of football with that logo. Same thing for Miami. If they go play for a national championship and Mario Cristobal becomes that much more famous, millions of people across the country, millions of recruits and portal guys across the country seeing that dude on their TV screen, speaking to whoever's on the sideline the way that he speaks and carries himself and seeing that brand of football, I think all bets are off at that point. I think at that point, when you associate the brand of ball Miami is playing right now with that logo, the place sells itself. Like we talk about the way this whole thing is built, the roster and how you put it together should sell itself because there's something for everybody if you're considering Miami. You can look at that roster and see yourself in that roster. What I mean by that is Malachi Tony, true freshman. You're considering Miami at a high school. Hey, if you're good enough, they put true freshmen on the field all the time. You can go have success at the highest level. You go play for a national championship and play receiver, play whatever position and go have success. You're a high-profile portal guy, Carson Beck, Cam Ward. Check that box of flying colors. You can go do that. Maybe you're a portal guy that has had some success but still kind of trying to get right. You're sort of trying to correct the story for yourself over the course of your career. Keelan Marion, I think, from BYU. C.J. Daniels popped at Liberty for a year and then went to LSU, and it wasn't really the way that he thought it was going to go. Now he's a big-time contributor for the Hurricanes. So like, you look at the way this roster is built just in general. There's a ton to work with when it comes to seeing yourself as a future Kane and what your career could be if you went and played for Cristobal. Like, that's the thing, too. If it was just portal guys, that'd be one thing. They truly have done a phenomenal job developing the guys that have chosen to come to Miami and get it on the ground floor. Like, specifically now, Ruben Bay and Francis Mauanoa. Not a draft guy, but I'd have to believe they're probably both going to be first-round draft picks. Those were guys that were a part of Cristobal's first recruiting class at Miami. Like, guys that were signed up to go play for him when things weren't all that. They weren't competing for the college football playoff. They weren't even a conversation piece for the top of the conference. And now they're a game away from playing for a national championship. Again, the stories that you can speak to across this roster, you got to give a lot of credit to Cristobal and the way he's put it together, and you got to give a lot of credit to the development aspect of Miami and all those things that come with it. So that's all well and good, but the biggest thing that I think sticks out to me in regards to what's at stake for Miami if they win tonight and play for a national championship, it'd be one thing if Miami was winning playing a boring brand of football. I think the way that Miami plays ball and the way that it makes you feel watching them play football, it's something you want to be a part of because everybody wants to feel the way that Miami feels when you watch them play football. What I mean by that, bully, bravado, physical, swagger, confidence. Everyone wants to embody those things. Everyone wants to be a part of that. Everyone wants to be the baddest dude on the block. Miami is doing that right now at the highest level, and if they go play for a national championship doing that, again, it sells itself. The place truly sells itself. So, at the very least now, even if Miami loses tonight, it'd be a bummer. It'd feel like, gosh, so close. We played a team that couldn't hang with us on the line of scrimmage, and we let it slip away. There'd be a lot of licking your wounds, for sure. But I do think now as we zoom out of the season for Miami, one thing you can no longer do, speaking to Cristobal's Miami, you can no longer negatively recruit that place. It used to be, go to Miami, that place is all hype and NIL money, and they sell you this vision of being on the beach and playing ball in paradise, and what have they done? They're not taking a knee against Georgia Tech and getting themselves embarrassed on SportsCenter, not top 10. Like, you really want to go play for that place? It's all logo and no substance. It's a substance-built program at this point in time. There's no argument against that. So even if they don't win tonight, I think they've set a trajectory for what they could be here in the future. I think that what they've proven they can do at the transfer portal level, especially at the quarterback position, speaks for itself. But if you go play in the biggest game of the season, the most visible game of the season, I think it would be a tsunami of sorts for Hurricane football, for Cristobal. And at that point now, I think they'd be operating at a different level on all fronts, on the recruiting trail, on the transfer portal level when it comes to acquiring talent. And I think the Hurricanes now are going to be around for a long time coming. But if they win tonight, man, freaking gasoline on that fire in the 305. All right. Now, I said this on yesterday's show, kind of staying in the same vein as speaking of the Hurricanes. I said, if I'm Ty Simpson, man, I'd transfer to Miami. Saw what Cam Ward was a couple of years ago, turned himself into the #1 overall pick, see what Carson Beck is doing right now, kind of repairing his football image. And not so much, but less than 24 hours later, get the NACOsification, get the On3 report. Ty Simpson has declared for the NFL draft. There's a story out by ESPN's Pete Thamel. He says that Ty Simpson's father says that they got a first-round grade from every general manager that they contacted. Okay, so if you're Ty Simpson, you're saying, hey, I'm going to be a first-round pick, it's hard to blame the guy, right? It's hard to say, no, don't go pro, don't go chase your dreams and be a first-round pick when you had to wait your turn at Bama for the longest time. I hear all that. But y'all, I'm going to be honest with you. I'm not giving up on this Ty Simpson should hit the portal kind of stuff. I'm not saying he shouldn't still go pursue his NFL dreams if he really wants to do that, but like I'm looking at the tea leaves, I'm looking at the puzzle pieces, and I can't help but think back to the last couple of quarterbacks Miami got via the portal. Cam Ward is a good one, I guess. Ended up doing okay for himself when it came to improving his draft stock. He declared for the NFL draft before committing to Miami. Well, he must be the only guy, right? Oh, no, there was one more, actually. Carson Beck, he declared for the NFL draft before committing to Miami. So Ty Simpson now, if you're a Miami fan, all Ty Simpson has done at this point is follow the trend of previous Miami quarterbacks that ended up transferring to you. Now, to be clear, Carson Beck and Cam Ward, from my understanding, weren't receiving first-round draft grades. Make that very, very clear. But all I'm saying is until Ty Simpson shows up to do interviews in Indianapolis for the NFL Combine, I'm not giving up on this. Here's the thing. I don't think Miami's giving up on this thing either. We talked to Cristobal going into the year where they had gotten Cam Ward, and he was like, all we did was we just kept recruiting him, kept calling him, kept trying to get him to Coral Gables. If you're doing that for Cam Ward, are you not doing that for a guy who's getting first-round draft grades in Ty Simpson? Like the Thamel story also says that Tennessee, Oregon, and Miami were all interested in Ty Simpson should he have just made the decision to enter the transfer portal. And again, I can't argue with the first-round draft grade stuff. Like I keep going back to that. If that truly is the case and you're Ty Simpson, you want to go pro and be a first-round guy, like more power to you, go be great. But at the exact same time, I will not give up this take either. Is it about being a first-round draft pick, or is it about having success in the NFL? Because if you want to have the most success in the NFL, the numbers suggest, hey, go get as much time in college as possible. And it doesn't look like now, by nature of you declaring for the draft, you're going back to Alabama. And also by nature of how their quarterback room looks with, I think they want to get the Keelan Russell show on the road. Is it about being drafted as high as possible, or is it about getting to the league, staying in the league, getting that real money, the second contract? I don't know. I think if you're about getting more starts in college and helping yourself for the NFL, going to Miami would make a lot of sense. Here's one more situation I want to throw out at you that I think needs to just at least have a peripheral view on. Dante Moore is, by most draft people's assessment, either QB1 or QB2 in this draft. Let's say Dante Moore decides to go pro. At that point, where does Ty Simpson fall into the mix? Does he end up sliding down in some draft boards? You have to think so. If Dante Moore is now an option for you, I don't think you're taking Ty Simpson before Dante Moore or Fernando Mendoza. Maybe, just maybe, Ty Simpson's like, okay, well, if I'm going to be later in the first round at this point, does that change my perspective on things? Not saying it does, but it's just a fair question. Take it a step further. Hey, I know my take is you should go to Miami, you should go play there. That'd be a great situation for you. There's a quarterback track record there of guys that have portaled and had success in a one-year sample size. But hey, Oregon needs a quarterback now. I don't know. Just think of something to keep tabs on, man. Think of something to keep tabs on. Either way, if you're Alabama, the Keelan Russell era now begins, and I do think this needs to be assessed. It's not a foregone conclusion he's your guy next year, but I think if we're all just, assessing this thing in real time, you would like to think he's going to be your starting quarterback next season, pending him winning a battle with Austin Mack. But I think as much as Ty Simpson going pro is exciting because it means there's another guy for you in Tuscaloosa, there should also be a very real feeling of how can we make sure that we don't have a similar situation here in the future where we have a first-round quarterback and we only advance to the second round of the college football playoff. Now, Alabama, as good a year as they had where they played for an SEC championship and they made the college football playoff DeBoer's second year, that's all well and good. But you got to feel a little bit like you didn't maximize your potential with having that dude, if he is a first-round quarterback, as your guy, and you were bottom 20 in college football in rush yards. Doesn't sound like you maxed out your potential to me. And to close this thing out, I don't think you can sell me on the idea, if you're Ty Simpson, that you maxed out your potential either with lack of running game behind you. Because in the NFL, you'll have a running game more likely than not. You'll have a little bit more to work with around you than what you had at Alabama. And maybe you say, well, I like that he had some difficulty around him, and I like, how that projects to the next level. Totally fine. I'm here for that. But I don't know that we truly saw Ty Simpson reach his potential as a college quarterback because of what Bama lacked. And going back to my point here, if it's about being set up for success at the NFL level, more starts, more experience, maybe another offense, I think going to Miami still makes sense. And I'm not giving up that take now until we see Ty Simpson in Indy for the NFL Combine. But the plot thickens, and if Ty Simpson goes pro, man, good for him. And a heck of a season at Bama, and absolutely carry that team to the college football playoff. Now, we've talked a lot about Miami over the course of the show. Let's shift our focus to another state, or another school in the state of Florida, which is, of course, the Florida Gators. Let's take an honest look at where things stand right now in Gainesville with the Jon Sumrall era officially on and popping. Florida, to me right now, if you're a college football fan in general, they're kind of that Christmas present under the tree that you can't wait to unwrap in 2026. I know we got to finish this year up. I know we still got to get through the line. But we're going to get around to SEC Media Days here, summer of next year. And I think we're all going to be just, one, begging for college football, so enjoy these next couple of games. But two, we're all going to be looking at that Christmas present under the tree of Florida and say, man,
What's that going to be like when we open that up? Because I look at the shape of that present under the tree. I look at, all the things I can gather from an optics perspective without actually seeing them on the field. I'm like, hey, a lot of talent. Dallas Wilson's back. Jaden Baugh's back. I love the OC and Buster Faulkner. Hey, Brad White's a good DC. Hey, that roster, as much as you want to talk about, Billy Napier not maximizing it, I think Jon Sumrall is going to maximize it. Still a lot of good players. Okay, so I like what I see from, the roster, even though it's wrapped at this point in time. Also, I love who it's from. Go and check that card attached to the gift. That's next to the wrapping paper, and it says, from Jon Sumrall. I love his work. I like where this comes from. I like the overall grit and tenacity and culture and all these things you associate with Jon Sumrall. So I think you're finding yourselves right now, if you're Florida, in a position where you are rediscovering who you truly are when it comes to the personality of Florida football. Like, some people got to go do, or they think they got to go do crazy stuff to find themselves. They got to go backpack through Europe. They got to take a gap year. Maybe they have to take a break from dating for a while. Florida's like, we're going to go hire Jon Sumrall. And he's going to bring back the personality of what Florida football truly needs to be. Because I kept saying this during the entire carousel, and especially when the Lane Kiffin stuff broke, as to, hey, communication with him has been a little bit weird, not sure he really wants this job. I was like, good, fine. Lane Kiffin, don't come anywhere near the Florida job. Because I want someone who's going to coach Florida that understands what Florida football is at their best, which is violent, which is psychotic, which is, willing to bleed out in the swamp for a win. Those are all the things that in a very short period of time, now hearing Jon Sumrall speak, I think he embodies. So if you're a Florida fan, you want to be at a game this year rocking some sweet Florida gear, just tell you right now, Roback, the game day collection, they got you covered. Sweet Q-zips, a comfortable Roback hoodie with some Florida logo on it, which is absolutely phenomenal. Roback is the best in the game when it comes to comfortable active wear, and the fact you can get some Florida-themed merch too, to get you right for game day, get you feeling good, looking good, all those things, I'm telling you, Roback is the best way to go about that. So we're going to save us all some money right now. Hear me very clearly. If you want to be rocking some sweet Florida gear from Roback in the swamp next season, Roback.com, code JD. Again, Roback.com, RHOBACK.com, code JD, just those two letters, no periods, for 20% off all those things I mentioned. Performance polos, Q-zips, hoodies, you got joggers, shorts, whatever you need, Roback has got you covered. Make sure you use code JD at checkout, Roback.com, to save yourself 20% off for all new customers. All right? So I understand there's always going to be a little bit of pushback on the Jon Sumrall get for Florida until he actually goes out and wins football games, because people cannot get out of their mind, hey, he's Billy Napier 2.0. G5 coach from Louisiana that got a job at Florida. Good for him, but he's Billy Napier 2.0. We'll revisit this thing this time next year and see if we even want him to be our head coach. Y'all, you hired the opposite of Billy Napier. If you could just delete the G5 part of it from your mind, you hired the opposite of Billy Napier. And I love Billy Napier. Mild-mannered guy. I think he'll have a lot of success at JMU, but he's offense. He is dialed back emotion. He's even keel. He's all the things that Jon Sumrall is not. And you tried it one way. I think having a guy who's the inverse of Billy Napier is a pretty good thing. Again, not to dunk on Billy Napier this entire show, but it's just kind of the way it is. Jon Sumrall is defense. He's energy. He's in your face. He is a no flex to his standard. Big reason why he was successful at not just Tulane, but also at Troy. I promise you now, Jon Sumrall is a Saturday coach. And Florida, for the better part of the Billy Napier regime, had won every single day of the week except for Saturday. Recruiting rankings, Florida's knocking out of the park. Portal, knocking out of the park. And when it comes to saying the right things at a press conference, I thought for the most part, knocking out of the park. But you get to Saturday, and you don't have enough guys on the field for special teams. You have dumb penalties. The game plan feels bizarre to look at from us just watching the broadcast. Jon Sumrall is going to win on Saturday. Okay, I'll say that very, very clearly. Now, can he win the other days of the week as well? Remains to be seen, but my vibe so far with the buy-in he's created in less than 2 months' time says I think so. I think so. Here's the thing. Retaining Dallas Wilson and Jaden Baugh, two of your best young pieces on offense, is huge in a vacuum, because they're both going to be a big part of what you do next season. Being able to hand the ball to Jaden Baugh for Aaron Philo is going to be phenomenal. But here's my thing. It's not just the fact that you retained them. It's the fact that you retained them when the entirety of the college football world has been tampering with both those dudes since October, if not before. We all understood after Billy Napier lost to USF, there was a very real sense of, hey, this might be it. The Miami game, you're like, yeah, this is for sure the nail in the coffin. I think from that time, or even before that time, the Sharks were circling, probably calling Jaden Baugh, probably DMing Dallas Wilson and saying, hey, your coach is going to leave, and when he does, come to our school. The fact that Jon Sumrall could walk in less than 8 weeks' time, retain those dudes, and get them to believe in Florida football and the future of Florida football and their role in it, that to me gets me really excited about what they're going to be here in the future. Because, again, creating buy-in at that level doesn't account for wins, but it's a non-negotiable to getting wins. So year one, what should we expect, JD? Like, you're telling me you're excited to open the Christmas present. You're talking about Jon Sumrall like he's about to be the next Vince Lombardi. Like, okay, what are expectations? To me, year one is about winning the games you're supposed to win. We're not losing to USF. We're not losing to teams with less roster talent than us. We're not blowing games in the fourth quarter. We are winning the games we're supposed to win. And then that extra edge with Jon Sumrall is you steal if you're not supposed to win as well. Like, maybe you don't win the SEC in year one. Maybe you don't win 10 games in year one. But I think winning the games you're supposed to win is a Jon Sumrall trait, in my opinion, as well as being able to play above your experience level a little bit here with a first-year starting quarterback in a new place and, bringing in some young pieces in Jaden Baugh in another role and Dallas Wilson in another role. I think that's kind of the expectation I have for them in 2026. So the plot thickens. We'll keep a pulse on what Florida does via the portal as well, who else they retain, who else they go out and get. But I think if you're a Florida fan, you should be excited for 2026 to get that thing rolling the same way you're excited with that nice big Christmas present under the tree that you think you like the way it looks like maybe what you asked for, you like who it's from. The clues of Florida excite me here ahead of next season. All right, now we got games tonight, or a game tonight. We got a game tomorrow. Fiesta Bowl, Peach Bowl, going to be absolutely sensational. Your boys now will be at the Peach Bowl. So, again, if you're in Atlanta, come say what's up. But with that being said, let's go ahead and make our final predictions for these semifinal college football playoff games. By Friday night, we will know who's playing for a national title game in Miami. And to make these predictions with me, it's the very best in the business, alley runner extraordinaire. Your mom loves him. Your dad wants to be friends with him. Best in the business, man. Caden Smith. We call him Cato. Cato, it's here, man. It's game day. Tomorrow's game day. A travel day for us, dude. How we living, man?
Business-like mentality, man. We're going on the road. Got to be locked in. Got to be focused, man. There's a lot of distractions out there with the portal, roster retention, but you and me are just going to put our heads down, work, and perform to the best of our abilities. No, I'm excited, man.
Not a vacation for us.
Nice app, not a vacation, business trip, business attire. No, I'm excited to see the Oregon uniforms in person for the first time. I'm excited to see Kirk Sonetti's furrowed brow there in Mercedes-Benz Stadium, man, and a great appetizer tonight with the Belt Bowl, as I've been calling, with Miami and Ole Miss both having belts as a part of their popular culture this year and their celebrations, both on and off the field. So it doesn't get better than this. Getting sad that the college football season's starting to dwindle away. We had the FCS championship the other day and had to kiss the FCS goodbye. And in Nashville, in the home field advantage. But college football for the FBS is on its way to out the door. So got to cherish these last moments while we have them, JD.
Hate to see him go, man, but we love to watch college football league.
Yeah.
And we're going to watch this Fiesta Bowl tonight. It's going to be electrifying. We will be in, as we've called it, the 4K stadium, if you will, with a big old TV in the office. Why don't you go ahead and just break the seal for us here, man? What's your prediction for tonight when it comes to the Party Bowl, Fiesta Bowl, for those of us that are the Spanish-speaking audience? What do you got tonight in Ole Miss, Miami? Go ahead and call your shot. And also let the people know who you got winning this game, man.
Yeah, JD, I would say I was 2 for 4 on the last games calling our shot, so trying to go 100% across the board this time around. When Ohio State was playing Miami, my shot that I called was that Ohio State's defense would be just the headline of this game. They would dominate this game. They would do what they did. They did play well against Miami, not well enough, and Miami's defense was actually the defense that I think we walked away from the quarterfinals of the playoffs being the most impressed with, other than Texas Tech. Texas Tech also looked good in that valiant effort against Oregon. So I think now, defense wins championships. It definitely gets you there too. I think Miami's defense is going to get them to this championship game. You look at their last 2 games in the CFP, JD, 12 sacks.
Oof.
They're just so good up front. Stifled Ohio State in the rushing attack, especially in that game as well. No penalties last game as well. They're just looking really good right now. As much as I love the defense, though, and I think that's the headline, JD, I think we see Carson Beck's strongest performance of the college football playoff in this game. I think going up against Ohio State's defense, which was statistically the best in the country this season, was an amazing unit, both from what they have physically and how many of those guys we'll see playing on Sundays as early as probably later this year, and the scheme they were running with Matt Patricia. A&M, same thing, man. That's a nasty unit up front. We know what they were coming with as far as being one of the best third down defenses in the country this season, having the 12th man play behind them. Ole Miss has a good defense. They've been very timely this season. They play bend, don't break kind of ball and have, in the biggest moments of their season for the most part, performed at the highest level and complemented their offense well, and that's why they are where they are right now. I just think from a offensive line, from the receivers, from a Carson Beck, I think every offensive player in this game for Miami on the first or second drive will be able to settle into this game a lot faster than they have been in the other games, just knowing it's not Ohio State and A&M. I don't think Ole Miss, this is not a diss to Ole Miss's defense. They did a good job. They just gave up 30-plus points, though, to Georgia, more points before that. This is the team that let Washington State touch the paint 3 times against them and put 21 points up. This is a middle-of-the-pack SEC defense. I think Carson Beck in this Miami offense is going to feel that, get some confidence, and we'll see a stronger performance from Beck, who 138 last week, 100 yards in the first game. Very much a game manager. I think we can take some of the training wheels off against an Ole Miss team that's used to their defense giving up some points, getting a little bit more of a back and forth kind of game. I think just as a result of playing 2 of the strongest defenses in this tournament and now playing an Ole Miss defense, we see Carson Beck flourish a little more, Mark Fletcher flourish more, and I think they could be more of the story than that defense that's kind of dominated the headlines. And I think Shannon Dawson's like, all right, Carson, like let's let it rip a little bit. Let's let you cook a little bit. We've seen your stat lines the last couple of games. We really appreciate the winning football you've played, and we know you can play that for us, but let's be a little bit more aggressive downfield. Let's get Ole Miss on their heels a little bit. I think they'll have a great opportunity offensively to do that, and they'll do that. So I think Miami wins. I think the defense continues to cook, but the offense has a little bit more. There's been a little bit more to be desired there, I think, especially through the air, and I think they fulfill that in this game here in the Fiesta Bowl.
There's a world, too, Cato, to go with your take. There's a world where Ole Miss scores a couple of points.
Yeah, there is.
They say, hey, Carson, you gotta answer us here. Trinidad and Carson, let's go dance. It's the Fiesta Bowl. Let's add some salsa here. Carson Beck, Trinidad Chambliss, salsaing it up in a quarterback duel. Maybe, just maybe, we see that happen. Ole Miss hasn't scored less than 30 since they played Washington State in October. So do you think the Miami defense is better than Washington State defense? Not a transitive property discussion, but just, I mean, it's a thing to discuss. Miami hasn't allowed over 30 all year long, so rock me hard place. I'm going to go in that same way as you, Cato. I think Miami wins this football game. I think Carson Beck looks good. I'm going to settle on the defensive side, though. I have a very difficult time forgetting the Georgia defense, specifically that Georgia defensive line. Just get past that Ole Miss offensive line with minimal to no resistance. And while Georgia's got a good front seven, that Miami front seven is absolutely ridiculous. I mean, I think it's not a stretch to say it is arguably the best defensive line in college football. The thing with this game, though, to get to my prediction, I think Miami gets Trinidad Chambliss on the ground 4 separate times at a minimum. I think it's a 4-sack game for the Miami defense. Reason why I feel that way, in addition to the front for Miami being what it is, hey, that secondary is different than what Georgia's secondary is. Like, they are top 20 in America when it comes to yards per pass. And for Miami to have 12 sacks over the course of this playoff in 2 games so far, 7 and 5 respectively, 4 would be the lowest total, but I think they will do a better job on the back end creating solutions for their defensive backs and creating a hesitation for Trinidad Chambliss to where you can't just uncork it when you've got a reverse field, do the Pirates of the Caribbean thing. I think that hesitation buys Bain more time, buys Mesidor more time. Buying those dudes more time to sack your quarterback, never a good thing as if they need it. So 4-sack game for the defense. Secondary, a big reason why, with some coverage sacks here. And the Miami defense shows up big, and we're both with the Canes here, so I'm not saving the graphic, but the Miami defense continues to do what they've done all playoff long, which is sack the quarterback.
Yeah, Trinidad's only been sacked 1 time in his last 3 games. So can Miami be the team that changes that? Can they take him off of his magical run he's on right now? Man, he's looking gifted and special. I think for the college football public, would be great to watch him put on a similar performance as he did against Georgia, just running around back there, making things shake. You mentioned both of these quarterbacks, man. If they can both spin it and this turns into a shootout, there's some salsa, as you mentioned. There's some dancing. There's some pico de gallo. There's some guacamole maybe in the mix. 30 or more points for both teams, plus 425 on BetMGM. So if you think there's a little shootout, you can take the over. Sure, overs are fun. Cool. The over-under set at 52.5. That's
okay, 50.
You get your typical minus 105 for the over there, minus 115 for the under there. But if you're thinking, hey, let's push it to 60 here. Each team 30 points, 425. That's a lot better odds there for sure. So shout out to BetMGM, man.
What do you think there? I might go under.
I would go under, but I'm saying if people feel that way, I'm letting them know BetMGM has the resources for them to really capitalize on that if that's how they're feeling. So
Thing of beauty.
Oh, yeah.
Thing of beauty. A thing of beauty it will be tonight with the Fiesta Bowl with those two set to get after it. Cato and I are both on the Canes. Hey, Cato, we're going to be at the Peach Bowl, man. I know you and I both can't wait for this one. It's going to be a quarterback duel. It's going to be a Big Ten duel of those sorts, a rematch game from the time that Indiana beat Oregon in Autzen. Oregon looking to get their lick back. Indiana looking to reassert their dominance here and get themselves to Miami to play for a national championship game. What do you like in the Peach Bowl, Cato? What shot you calling and what side are you on ahead of this one?
Yeah, JD, I got to stick to my guns here, man. I think me, like many other people, had their bracket busted on the other side with Georgia losing and Ohio State losing. If you had one or both of those teams, you're just like anyone else here. Neither of those teams are there. So on my other side of the bracket, though, thankfully, I did have this matchup slated. I did have Indiana going to the national championship. And I'm sticking to that, JD. It's hard to beat a team twice, but I think it's harder to beat Indiana once. Well-oiled machine, man. Curt Cignetti, I said the correct shot I called last week is that we'll be saying that Curt Cignetti is that guy. He is that coach. It'll be a masterclass performance from him in the Rose Bowl. Didn't think he would blow out Alabama, but here we are. But, yeah, man, I think that this is just the definition of a well-oiled machine. I think that you look at them last game, they win the time of possession, they win the turnover battle, one penalty against Alabama. Those first two they won against Oregon as well. I think they're going to do that here. I think Oregon in the Texas Tech game left a little bit to be desired. They made some mistakes, and I just think Indiana doesn't play mistake-free football. Like, they don't play football with mistakes. They play mistake-free football. So I think Indiana is going to keep doing what they do. And I think all of a sudden the discussion around where this team stands in history needs to be taken a lot more serious than it has been the last couple weeks. I think across all of college football, we haven't done a good enough job about talking about how good this Indiana team is and how much they've turned around. I think if they have a different logo, we're praising this team as one of the best we've seen in recent college football history. They don't have the flashy names like usual. A lot of these players will get drafted, but I think that just makes it more of a compliment to Curt Cignetti on how he's built this roster in a non-flashy way with big-time high school recruits and portal recruits. He got his guys. His guys are getting the job done, man, and they're kicking teams' teeth in. They're on a generational run, I think, as far as not only what Indiana is relative to college football history, with like the second or first most losses ever, just the turnaround has already proven itself. But you parlay that with the logos they're starting to go through now, beating an Ohio State, beating an Alabama. Now you have a chance to beat Oregon for a second time. These are mainstays in college football, and Indiana has been the opposite of that. I think with this win over Oregon, the pressure going into a national championship all of a sudden gets really dialed up, and it's like, all right, now we're flirting with you being one of the best teams we've seen in college football history, not just the first team to go 16-0, but being where you came from, being the leader you have there, and just the logos you were able to accomplish. It's not a fluky national championship run you have here. These are bona fide blue blood teams now that you're just knocking off. I think we take Indiana a lot more seriously just going forward after this game. Yeah, man, they're going to keep living up to the hype, I think, right now. And I think Indiana, they're just going to get their flowers here, man. I think it's just them beating another team that has a logo that we're a lot more used to seeing winning postseason games than the Hoosiers.
Just the job that Curt Cignetti has done at Indiana in a 2-year span has absolutely ruined it for every other coach taking a new job. It's like he took over where and got them to what in 2 years' time? We got the semis and the playoff in the first year when it was Indy freaking Anna. Because last year the easy take was Well, hey, listen, schedule wasn't all that. They play Ohio State, get their teeth kicked in, go to the playoff, lose their first game. Now, just what you said, they're rolling through Ohio State. They're beating Oregon the first time. They're beating Alabama. I mean, all brands that you just mentioned synonymous with like tier 1 in college football over the course of the last decade. And so there's nothing fluky about it. And Kirsten Eddy, the turnaround job that he's done there puts a lot of pressure to all these new coaches taking over jobs like Pat Fitzgerald in the Big Ten and Bobby Chesney at UCLA. Like, it's a very interesting time right now to be a head coach in college football with the potential precedent that Kirsten Eddy has set. And they're not slowing down either with the way they're attacking the portal right now, dude. Goodness gracious. Which makes me feel uneasy about my prediction here.
Yeah,
I'm going to roll with it.
I have a feeling I know where you're going with this.
You know where this is. So I had a couple predictions, and I ended up settling on a different one because I feel like I've made the Dante Moore take too many times and said he's going to be the guy, he's going to be the guy. Still feel that way. I think the difference in this game, Cato, as much as I think Dante Moore does outduel Mendoza when it comes to the quarterback play, I think the quantity of weaponry for Oregon is massively timely. No Jordan Davidson makes me super nervous in that backfield, but the perimeter players from Moore to Sadiq to Benson, I think they've also progressed a lot since this first meeting. I mean, Sadiq had 2 catches for 21 yards the first time they played. Benson had 1 catch. DeCorey and Moore less than 40 yards. I think they all show up in a much more polished fashion. I think all those reps together over the course of the year makes a big difference. And while the edge, I think, is very slight for Oregon in the perimeter, I think it ends up being enough paired with Dante Moore and what he brings to the table here. I think the quantity of weapons show up and are the difference in this game for the Ducks. And it's reflected in the stat line when it comes to Dante Moore's day at the office. So I'm rolling with the Ducks. I think we're going to be at the best game of these two, Cato. And regardless, man, whether it's IU or Oregon, we're in for an NFL caliber of game with the number of players on that field that are going to be playing on Sundays.
Yeah, I mean, we've talked about it before, and I'm going to say this in the least weird way possible. I cannot wait to just see what Kenyon Sadiq looks like in person.
Oh,
man.
I can't wait. Yeah,
this dude looks like an action figure.
He
looks like if you told an alien, hey, like, I know you don't know what a tight end is, but it's kind of a hybrid between the guys on the line of scrimmage and the guys out there catching the ball. Like, this is like, if you had to make one, this is what it would look like, and it's Kenyon Sadiq. I can't wait to see just him in pregame, him during the game. Just my NFL draft cap will be on watching him and both these quarterbacks play. So much NFL talent on the field. Super excited to see it. I'm glad you mentioned the Davidson injury, man, because that also makes me feel better about picking Indiana in this one. I think he's the back they needed. He was their leading rusher the first time they played in this matchup. He is their red zone. As soon as you can kind of sniff the red zone, as soon as you can smell some of the pain in the end zone, you give it to Jordan Davidson, and he finds a way in there, man. He's the back I did not want them to not have in this game, so I don't feel great about that. And you mentioned the weapons. You could say talent-wise, yes, like there are probably more NFL players across the board, up and down the roster for Oregon in terms of the skill players. But them just being in and out of the lineup all year makes me a little bit worried. You could say that makes you feel better about Dante Moore because he's had to adapt to throwing to a bunch of different guys and has made it work throughout the season, especially after that Indiana game. You miss Omar Cooper for a little bit. You miss Surratt for a little bit. But Charlie Beckert, those two guys I just mentioned, when I close my eyes, I just picture them making those plays in the biggest moments for Fernando Mendoza. And his accuracy just, if there's a little bit of leverage, he's going to give you a chance. And his guys have always, it feels like, I can close my eyes, I can't picture those guys dropping big-time passes, you know what I mean? Not making the big-time play. So we'll see. I think the talent advantage is there from Oregon, I think, but as far as the reps, the experience, and what we've seen recently, especially from the Indiana guys, I'd give them the edge as far as the production just a little bit and the consistency a little bit more. But you could say that'll be the key to this game, man. These are both two NFL quarterbacks, and you could say they'll both play very well against these really good defenses, but whose weapons turn just a normal, just standard slant or a hitch or a curl, who gets the yak on that and gets into the end zone? Who makes more plays on those 50-50 balls, man? I'm getting excited talking about this game, man. I can't wait to be there. Those playmakers, man, a lot's on their plate too, because I think both of these quarterbacks are gonna be wanting to prove something in this game, wanting to prove the doubters wrong, prove that they're worthy of winning a Heisman Trophy, prove they're worthy of winning that number 1 overall pick in this draft, man. Whoever's playmakers can make it happen. That could be the difference in this game as well.
I mean, it was the last time. I just have visions of Surratt back shoulder after back shoulder, and then he walks up and breaks the O in Autzen Stadium, and I was like, oh, yeah, that's different. Like, yeah, Mendoza back shoulder to Surratt was just candy from baby kind of action from the Hoosiers in that first round. But, dude, I can't wait for this one. I can't wait. You said business trip. We'll be on the road tomorrow. Quick little day trip out to DA. And we'll be on hand with our very own Andy Staples as well in attendance in Mercedes-Benz Stadium. Cato, great stuff as always, man. Running the alley, metaphorically speaking here on the takes, on the ones and the twos. Everything you see here brought to you by the man, the myth, the legend, Caden Smith. We appreciate y'all making this show what it is. The transfer portal is showing no mercy. Again, make sure you are subscribed. We're going to keep you up to the very minute as in the know as possible. So if you love college football, if you love everything that comes with the sport year-round, make sure you're locked in. But again, for myself, for Caden Smith, we love y'all. We appreciate y'all. We're going to keep this party rolling, and we will see y'all next time.